always thought of myself as a fair person, a do-gooder, a peacemaker. I always tried to remain neutral in situations of conflict, to bring everyone together rather than taking a side. I thought that was the moral high ground. But I was wrong. We hear about the importance of neutrality all the time. Reporting should be fair and balanced. Our opinions should be fair and balanced. A perfect example is when the topic of Israel-Palestine comes up. Yes, Palestinians have been killed, but so have Israelis. It's complicated, we're told. Shouldn't we be a moderating force to help both sides come together rather than being one-sided? I had to question these assumptions when I traveled to Palestine to see for myself what life was like for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation. I found a system of segregated roads, with nice roads for Jewish Israeli settlers and separate roads for Palestinians. I comforted a friend whose 6-month-old baby died slowly in her arms of a simple asthma attack as they waited for hours at an Israeli checkpoint, prevented by soldiers from crossing to reach the Palestinian hospital on the other side. I stood beneath a 25-foot concrete wall that separates Palestinians from their own families, their schools, their jobs, their lands. And all around me, I saw inspiring Palestinian popular resistance and its violent suppression by Israel, a military superpower armed by my own country, the United States. I began to understand what was happening around me as part of the ongoing displacement of indigenous Palestinians and resettlement of Jewish Israelis in their place. And I knew that Israel would pay me to leave the United States and move onto that same Palestinian land anytime I wanted, simply because I'm Jewish. What did it mean for me to remain impartial as I witnessed these injustices? Whom did my impartiality benefit? It became clear that neutrality wasn't a catalyst for mediation or change. It was the exact opposite. It maintained the power imbalance exactly as it was, leaving the scales tipped in favor of those with power. The thing is, I had grown up like many Jewish Americans as a Zionist. That is, I supported a Jewish state in historic Palestine. My grandmother's stories of her escape from Nazi Europe and the murder of most of our family were deeply formative for me. I wanted so much to believe that a Jewish state could be a good thing. I was a balanced person, I told myself. I wanted peace for everyone, including Palestinians. I did not know at the time that Israel's Jewish majority could only exist with the removal of Palestinians. But deep down, I knew that there were contradictions between the important lessons that my grandmother had taught me and what Israel was doing to Palestinians in my name. Well, here's a surprise. When I finally gave myself permission to take a side and reject Zionism, I found a liberation I could never have expected. A liberation from my fear of the other. A liberation from the contradictions and the paralysis. I had worried that I would lose so much, but instead I had found exactly what I was looking for. I was not rejecting who I was. I was finding who I was. Today, I want to encourage you to give yourselves permission to take a side. Do it and own it, because it's the right thing to do, and because your own liberation depends on it. I want to acknowledge that the stigma against taking a side isn't shared by everyone. In fact, the lessons I've learned are downright obvious to people targeted by state violence who have no choice but to fight for their rights. Many of them have pointed to the dangers of neutrality for centuries, but people like me weren't listening. Today, I'm speaking to the many out there like me who have remained neutral in the face of controversy. It's time for us to listen and to act.